Goodwood's always a big meeting for us. You know, it comes at the right time of year, and nowadays with the excellent prize money on offer down there, it's got an awful lot more competitive and harder to win. But you know, we always try and target a few races, and we've got a few of the stars going. So yeah, we're looking forward to it.
No better place to start than Rosallion. How's he come out of the race at Royal Ascot?
So Rosallion, it was a real blow last year not to be able to go to the Sussex, and hopefully we'll get compensation this year. I've been very happy with him going into the race. He did a very good piece of work at Newbury down the back straight on Monday, and I haven't seen him work like that for a long time. Obviously it's going to be an extremely good race. We're taking on extremely good 3-year-olds and we're having to give them weight, so that makes it hard. But I think my horse is probably peaking right now. He got to the front, won his race at Ascot, and we proved that he had come on an awful long way from Newbury in the lock-in. So I think he'll take another step, or has taken another step forward, and I'm hoping he'll run very well. The ground looks like it's going to be ideal. Yes, it's going to be an extremely good race, and so it should be, but I'm very hopeful he'll win.
And he had a few different options. There was the race in France and the 7 furlong Group 1 at York. How did it come to you deciding the Sussex was the right race for him?
For Rosallion, I think the key thing is you know, we're doing a job here of trying to create a stallion, and the Sussex is a noted race that makes stallions. The York race, yes, was an option, and 7 furlongs would have been a good option. But we just feel that this race comes, you know, a little bit earlier, and he's peaking right now, and he's in great form. You know, the York race is not out of the question. He's also in the Jacques Le Marois. We'd like to take that on later on if we could as well, but one step at a time. And since Royal Ascot, the next target was always going to be the Sussex, so that's why we're going there. I think Rosallion and Goodwood that aren't going to be a problem, getting them, you know, to go together. It is a unique track, I agree. There are undulations, but I don't think they'll bother Rosallion. He's very athletic, and I think it will suit him no problem.
You've been involved on a duel on the Downs before when Camford Cliffs took on Frankel.
Yeah, Camford Cliffs and Frankel, and then there was Paco Boy and Rip Van Winkle. It's always a very good race, so it should be. The prize money is as good as you'll get anywhere. It's a fantastic track, and it always seems a very intimate place to be. You're very close to the action. You know, lovely paddock, lovely stat. The whole place is a pleasure to be at, and our horses run very well there, and you know, we're looking forward to it.
And just quickly, how excited are you to be taking on Field of Gold, and what have you made of him so far this season?
How excited am I to be taking on Field of Gold? Not very, to be quite honest. Yeah, he looks a very good horse, and I know John and Thadian, they will have him there in excellent nick, as they have done all year. And it's rather a shame when these good horses are trained, you know, by good trainers. So he's going to be a hard nut to crack, and he won extremely well at Ascot. I never like talking about other people's horses, but you've got to say visually he was extremely impressive, and looks like he's still improving. And you know, I'm looking forward to the race. And if we get beaten, no one died, and let the best horse win.
And just finally on Rosallion, obviously you've mentioned the likes of Tornado and Camford Cliffs. How would he compare to some of the great milers that you've had in the past?
Oh, I think Rosallion is right up there with the best of our milers. No problem, you know. Night of Thunder, as you say, Camford Cliffs, Paco Boy, Tornado, Olympic Glory. A few of them actually, isn't there? He would be right up there with them. You know, he's a Group 1 winning 2-year-old, Group 1 winning 3-year-old. He better win one as a 4-year-old.
You also had, I know, not planning on running it, but Harton was in the race. Where might we see him?
He was. So Harton, the plan is to go to the Jacques Le Marois. I think that track will suit him. Lovely flat track, straight mile, right up his street. It was a shame the last race, you know, it was a bit of a messy race. That was no one's fault, and I slightly felt it. You know, we didn't get to show Harton in his best light just because of the way the race worked out. But he didn't run a bad race. He wasn't beaten far, and I think he's better than he showed there. But we will have to wait till the Jacques Le Marois to prove that.
Perfect. Linwood in the Golden Mile.
Linwood in the Golden Mile. We've been waiting all year for this. I was trying to get him ready for the Britannia at Royal Ascot, and he just had a few issues. He got a nail, a blacksmith nail, just in the back of his frog. Had that out, so he had to miss a bit of, I think about 3 weeks. So we didn't get to Ascot, but I took him to Newbury on Monday morning, and he worked extremely well. And he could be a dark horse. There's a few races there he could run in. He's in the Golden Mile, but look out, I think there's also a 7 furlong handicap there. And he belongs to Jim Hay, and the objective there is to try and win at Royal Ascot. I'd love to win the biggest race possible, but I'd like to think I had a very good chance in a 7 furlong handicap as well. But he's fit and raring to go, and he goes there fresh. He's had a nice break since last year. He's a very good moving horse, and I am looking forward to running him, and I do think he's well handicapped.
A Ram Ram Stewards Cup.
A Ram Ram, I don't think we'll go to the Stewards Cup. He's in a couple of races this weekend. I think we'll go back to 5 furlongs. He's also in a Group 3 in Deauville, and he's a very talented horse. Always runs his race, and he just slightly keeps getting caught over 6 furlongs late on.
Cersei in the Stewards.
Cersei, she's in great form. Now, 2 different Cerseis can turn up on the best of her form, and the form I think she's in. I think she has an excellent chance in the Stewards Cup. I really do. I haven't really felt I've ever really had a good chance in the Stewards Cup, but I think this year with her, I think she has a very good chance. She's also in this weekend, and we will have a look at that. But I think because it's a fillies only handicap, but wherever she goes next, I would be advising you to have an investment.
Is she in the oak tree as well, or is she?
No, I'm not going to put her in the oak tree. We will have time for black type, but I'd like to exploit her handicap mark beforehand.
And she seems to have really appreciated the drop in trips. 6 furlongs seems to be.
She has, but sometimes she looks like she wants 7. Sometimes she looks like she wants 5. It's just getting her just to land on the line, and she's not an easy ride. She can be quite keen, but I think she's pretty adaptable over 5, 6 or 7.
Dark 30 Stewards Cup.
Dark 30, if he hits you'll know your fate after the last 50, 100 yards, after the first 50, 100 yards. Very talented horse. If he jumps and gets a run, he'd have a very good chance in pretty much any handicap.
And he's won twice since being gelded. That seems to have done.
He has, yeah, and he's won twice where, well, the first time I didn't expect it, I've got to say. Salisbury, he ran with huge credit, stuck his head out and kept going. And, I was impressed with that, because there's a couple of times you could question his enthusiasm. But I think he's in a good place now, and I think he'll run very well.
What did you make of his run in the Bunbury Cup? Perhaps a little bit disappointing.
I think it was all, those big handicaps, he kind of just gets out and just goes a little too quick. And I think it's slightly stretched his stamina. And I think we'll come back in trip now. But he can bounce back from a moderate run very, very quickly.
Mum's Tipple, Stewards Cup.
Mum's Tipple, I don't think is going to run in the Stewards Cup. He has to have a stalls test, because he likes to take his time when he goes in the gates, and no one's going to rush her, and I mean nobody. And then the steward said that he held the whole race up, so he has to have a stalls test. But I could have sworn he was the first one back last time, so I don't think he held them up much.
Tallis of Volvaire.
Tallis of Volvaire, I've got a share in him, and he wears his heart on his sleeve. He's a lovely colt. He could, you can back him. He'll run well in any handicap. Yes, when he wins, they are kind of at random moments, and probably 2 a year because of his mark, but he's getting right down to a handicap mark where he is extremely dangerous, and it's going to happen very soon. Hope it's a Goodwood, but it's going to happen soon.
And he's sort of run well this year without money.
He has, every race he's run well, and he's run on towards the end, and he looks like, for the last 2 runs, he's looked like he's about to get it done.
Cayman Tie.
Cayman Tie, if he can get in a race at Goodwood, he would have a chance. But the problem is now, the prize money being so good, these 0 to 95s, they're very hard to get in, and they're very competitive and congested with horses around mid-90s, so it's hard to get in. I don't think he will get in, but if he does, he would have a good chance. You know, he's a horse that always travels with the revs very high, and that's very handy at Goodwood.
And he's been off since May and been gelded.
Yeah, so we gelded him. That's done him the world of good, and he's a little more relaxed now than he was.
King of Cities.
King of Cities. He's a funny one because he's fast enough for a mile, but the last time he looked a little flat-footed. So I'm going to take him to the Thoroughbred Stakes at Goodwood and use him a bit and have him very, very handy. So he doesn't have to have that much of a turn of foot. He's more of a galloper, and I think this race might suit him if we get a good draw.
He didn't have the smoothest of passages at Newmarket.
No, he didn't. But that is highlighted by the fact that he's not fast enough to hold his position. So he kind of ends up getting put where he's put. Whereas if we ride him handy, I think he'll be full pelt all the way, and he might be hard to beat. He's a very good horse.
He's got some good form behind the likes of Opera Bello. Wasn't beaten too far in the French Derby.
Yeah, he has, and he's one for next year too. I'm hoping he will have no problem winning. Hopefully we'll see him turn up at the top level one day, but we need to kind of get these races covered on our way if he can.
Meblesh.
So Meblesh, he will be in the handicaps at Goodwood, but he's in a very valuable sales race in Deauville, I think about the 15th of August. So we've got one eye on that, but yeah, we would like to take him for a 1.25 miles at Goodwood. Always runs his race. He ran very well at Ascot last time. He can be a little bit, what's the word? Not brittle in terms of bones, but mentally a little bit fractious. So there's always a lot of runners down at Goodwood, and that kind of, mind you, sometimes it suits him, but he's very, he's subject to how he travels in the race and his passage in the race. If that's all smooth, he has a good chance in any race.
And what would be the sort of optimum trip for him, do you think, 10 or 12?
I think he'll get 1.5 miles, and I think 1.25 miles is no problem.
And we didn't see him as a 2-year-old, was he just a bit...
No, he was just narrow and weak, but we bought him, Ross Doyle bought him in Deauville, and he was just a bit narrow, but he had the frame of a nice big strong horse, and he saw that. So although he was in training as a 2-year-old, there was nothing wrong with him. We just didn't run him because we thought the time would do him good, and then he had a winter on him, and he's run very well all year, and he has repaid us, and I think he could be a very good horse for next year as well. So First Legion, I could have taken him to the Molecombe, but we've given him a break, and mid-August there's a race called the Valley d'Orge in Deauville, and I think that's probably where we'll go. There's also obviously the Flying Childers at Doncaster, but there's also the Roses at York. So I think next target would probably be the Roses or the Valley d'Orge in Deauville. And
you're still hopeful that he could reach the top level? The race at Sandown's worked out well with winning the Super Sprint on Saturday.
I was a bit disappointed with him at Ascot. That's why we've given him a break. And I do think a lot of him. Physically, you wouldn't see a nicer horse. He's very sound, and he's a big, strong lad. Quietly, I'm hoping we can make a stallion out of him. And so I hope he can do that for his owners. I certainly think a listed race at the moment is perfectly within his grasp, and then we can go up from there.
Lost Signal.
So Lost Signal, he's in at Salisbury on Saturday night. We'll have a look at that. I've got a couple in there, Battle Apple as well. Lost Signal I might well take to the Maiden at Goodwood. And on the race he ran at Newbury, I think he'll run extremely well. Big, strong lad, very, very nice colt, and he will have improved an awful lot from that first run at Newbury.
Aceti.
So Aceti, he's a very nice colt, and we've always had our eye on this Maiden at Goodwood. He's got to do a couple more bits of work yet. He's a nice colt. Whether he'd be ready to run his derby first time out at Goodwood, I doubt. But watch him, because he's a nice horse going forward, and you will see him run a nice race.
Just how difficult is it to get them right first time out in a
it's not so much. It's all right if they're group horses. Winning first time out is not a problem. If they're not group horses, you kind of don't really have anywhere to go. And I like them to go to the track and improve for the race. I don't want them to go in there with their eyes popping out and, worrying and thinking it's race day and they've got to go flat out. all the way. I like them to go there, enjoy themselves, run through horses. The next time you see them, that's when you can assess them. Rakib will have a good chance in the 7 furlong Nursery. He's won some good races in group races and the super sprint. He has a good chance in the Nursery.
What did you make of his run in this?
I thought it was lovely, but he just carried across the course at a crucial time, which probably stopped him being placed. I thought for a minute there he was coming to win, and he just ran at steep. He gave everything in the race weight. You know, he's given horses rated 100 and odd, £7, £8 even. And that was a hard ask, but worth a go for the money. And I think he's very competitive off his mark. LeBron Power, very fast filly, was a bit unlucky in the Dragon Stakes at Sandown. She was unlucky in that. And I think we're going to put her in the Molecombe and the Alice Keppel. And the Alice Keppel is obviously fillies only, which might make more sense, worth a lot of money, and hopefully she'll run very well in that. And Persica, he was in the Group 2 at York this Saturday, but we're going to go to Munich on Sunday. It's soft ground there, Group 1, mile and a quarter. It's not a bad race, but I think he's top class, and I'd be disappointed if he didn't win. You know, if he doesn't win here, it's not a disaster or a tragedy by any means, but we're going there because we think we can win.
He's been a revelation, hasn't he?
He's such a good horse. Physically, you won't see a better looking horse. So he leaves tonight for Munich, and he's a very good horse, very impressive physically, and on soft ground he's extremely capable.
And he just continues to improve.
Yeah, he does. Exactly right. He continues to improve, and you know, there's a lot of good races for him in the autumn all over the world, and we have our eyes on that. So he's going to be busy. So, you know, we were keen to give him a little break from Epsom to now.